Then traditional methods, which are made out of...
Oh, you want to come home with me?
Oh, my mouth.
He was so well behaved before we turned the camera on. Today we're talking all about periods. Are periods a sustainable issue, you ask? Well, the average woman uses 11,000 sanitary products in her lifetime. 200,000 tons of sanitary products are sent to landfill or incineration every single year, and for every 100 metres of shoreline, we find 20 tampons or applicators. Periods are a really big issue for loads and loads of reasons. A lot of people don't have access to any kinds of products at all, and there's still a huge stigma for many of us around talking about it openly. But today we're just going to focus on sustainability and how we can have greener periods. The main problem is that the most popular products like pads and tampons are single use and they contain plastic. And I'm not just talking about the applicator, I mean the whole thing. It might look like it's made out of cotton, but more often than not it's cotton blend with some rayon or some polyester, which are synthetic fibres, and they can be treated with heavy chemicals. And on top of that, there is no policy or regulation to say that companies should test for these chemicals or disclose whether they're even inside them. This is really, really important because your vagina is the second most absorbent part of your body, so it's really important that we look after it. Basically, all of this means that because plastic never really disappears but just breaks down into smaller and smaller little pieces, unless it's incinerated, most of the plastic period products that we've been using are just still hanging around in the environment somewhere. One of the main reasons that this can cause problems is that people are flushing all of this stuff down the toilet. I mean, like tampons, pads, applicators, all of it's going down the toilet, and while some of it gets filtered away, some of it is also going to end up in the ocean, where at the moment plastics are causing a really big problem for the fish that live in the sea and for us. I was really shocked the first time I found out that firstly, these products aren't biodegradable like I thought they were, but also that they might contain a lot of chemicals. Luckily, there are loads of things that we can do to have a more sustainable period. First up, whatever you feel comfortable using, don't flush it down the toilet. Just dispose of it in a proper way in the bin. Our systems aren't really designed for stuff like this to go down the toilet, and it can be really harmful. I know some people feel weird using a shared bin to put sanitary products in. So if you have the space, maybe get a separate bin that you can use just for you, or you can get little biodegradable bags made from cornstarch so you can put things in the main bin. Whatever works for you, just find a way to put it in the bin, don't flush it down the loo. Next up in the sustainable period journey is to have a think about the kinds of products that you're using. From some recent research we did, we found that most people generally start using a product and then they stick with it forever, which totally makes sense because the last thing that you want to do when you're feeling rubbish or you're out and about is to try something new. It can seem really daunting, but as a recent convert to some of the more sustainable options, I just wanted to talk through them so you can see what else is out there. One of the best things I would suggest if you're unsure is just to talk to your pals and see what they use and get their advice. I am off to speak to my pal from Hubbub, Lottie, who is a bit of an expert on sustainable periods, to get her advice on the kind of products she's been using. We're going to talk you through some of our favourite products that we've used. We've tried them all so we can give you some insider info as to what they're like. And we're going to go like a behaviour change curve. So we're going to start with something that might be a bit more familiar, and that will be a like for like, and then we're going to move on to a more fun, interesting option, and then we're going to try something at the end, which is a bit more daring. I don't want to put you off by saying that, because it isn't, but
we'll tell you about it.
I guess actually my first question before we start this is, why are you interested in sustainable periods in the first place?
I have very sensitive skin. I am very careful about what I use in my shampoos and my moisturisers, and finding out that the vagina is the second most absorbent part of your body, it suddenly was dawning on me, like, I'm putting this thing in my body that is full of perfumes and chemicals and dyes, and I would never put that on any other part of my skin, so why would I put it in my vagina?
I had no idea until you told me. First up, if you want a really easy switch, are organic pads and tampons, which look like this.
Pretty similar to what you'd probably already been using or tried before. The difference is what it's made out of. So traditionally, normal pads and tampons are kind of synthetic fabrics mixed in with kind of not organic, not great cotton. So rayon, polyester. Organic cotton is better in the way that it's produced, so it's good for the farmers. It uses less water, less pesticides, and actually when you dispose of it, it has the opportunity to biodegrade, whereas a synthetic thing will probably never biodegrade. It's pretty like for like in terms of experience and use. They're just as absorbent as regular tampons.
They're not as uncomfortable.
No, I completely agree. There's lots and lots of brands out there, so definitely worth having a feel of, you know, if you don't like one, definitely try another. Cost-wise, pretty similar.
I'd say so.
Yeah, it you know, so you might find some brands have less in the packet than your normal, but you know, we're talking pennies difference, we're not talking major money. And then another thing to note is, whilst the fabric is also great, it is also great to note that they don't have chemicals, dyes or perfumes, which is something that is kind of mad to think about that are used in traditional tampons.
Don't need to perfume your vagina.
No. Yeah.
So that is if you want a really easy switch. Next up, we've got period pants. These are a relatively new invention. These ones are Thinks, but there are loads of different brands out there, so just have a Google and see what you can find. How do they work?
They're great. Okay, so they're very similar to wearing a pad, except they're just your pants. You don't need to wear any other pants with them. You don't even need to wear any other products with them, but you can wear them with a tampon or a menstrual cup if you want something that's just kind of extra protection.
They're cute. Look how cute they are.
I was really worried that they would not be absorbent enough. Having used them, I can't imagine ever leaking in them. I mean, you can get a thong. That's great.
So you can have this one for the first day of your period, this one for like when you finished but you're not sure if you're going to spot.
Well, you're wearing something where you don't want a VPL, you know. The way it works is you've got kind of several layers of fabric here. You've got something it's a kind of antibacterial material.
And it's dry.
And then it goes through there, so this stays dry, and then below is a kind of absorbent bit. In terms of washing, really easy. Soak them in cold water, then put them in your wash. Or if you are me, just put them straight in the wash. These are a bit more costly. So you can get them anywhere between sort of £15 to £35, which can feel like an investment, but because they do have this sort of like endless life, I would argue that that's pretty cost efficient.
And they're so comfortable.
They are so comfortable.
Easy to use.
Yeah, and they're perfect, for example, if you're doing sport or something like that, because you're not having to wear anything
that might fall out.
Exactly.
I think they're witchcraft, basically.
Yeah, they're just magic.
Last but not least is their menstrual cup.
This is an amazing thing which you can use throughout your cycle. You can use it at any point. It's made out of medical grade silicone, so it's totally safe. It sits inside you. It's a little bit like an egg cup, if I'm going to compare it to anything. So basically you put it completely within inside your vagina and you bleed directly into it. Now, I think looking at like a lot of people worry about how on earth is that going to work? There's lots of folds that you can do. There are different methods of pinching which can then just go in.
And it will never just fall out. I can't stress that enough.
It's designed to kind of sit snugly and have suction, so it stays in you firstly, but secondly, like, I found it so interesting to see how much you actually bleed a day, and it is a lot less than you imagine. I think on average we bleed kind of this in a whole period cycle and about a teaspoon a day. So, you know, it's different for different people, but
it depends on how heavy your flow is.
And no one knows your period better than you do, so you can sort of make that judgment call. But traditionally, these should last 8 hours before you need to change them. Really easy to change. You just take it out, pour the blood into the toilet basin. I like to put a little bit of loo roll in there first to absorb the blood, and then you can just flush that away. It is totally safe to just give it a wipe with a bit of tissue, and then once a month or once a cycle you should be putting it in boiling water. You get a little bag to take it around with, which is great. So if you're going away or you're going out and about and you're worried you're going to get your period, it can come with you. It's got this kind of little leg. This isn't really necessary, so you're encouraged to cut this. I found cutting the whole thing off worked for me. Might be better for some people to have a little thing that they can pull on when they want to remove it. Cost-wise, it's about 20 quid, which can feel quite a lot to spend on something that you've never used before the first time you use it, but this is all you need. Just one of these for 5 years.
You'll make your money back.
You will make your money back. I mean, if you think about how many boxes of tampons and pads you might buy a month, like, cost comparison is kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing contraption. Is something that is really worth a go. if you've had a bad experience, don't let that put you off. Do try again, but definitely just chat to your friends about it, because I think that's what I've got my biggest tips and got my biggest lessons about how to use it.
It's the same as like when I used a tampon for the first time and I was like, I don't understand how this works or how it will go in.
Yeah.
And you just practice and it works eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same kind of thing. What, out of all of these sustainable options, which one are your faves?
So I have found that I'll just say it, I got the coil fitted about 6 months ago, which really changed my experience of my period, which I think happens with a lot of women. We have life changes and our periods change. So before, I was a huge fan of the moon cup. That did me perfectly because I had a pretty normal, I'd say normal period. What is normal? But pretty regular period.
Normal.
Now that my period's a bit lighter, I find that the pants are the best thing for me, and then a tampon on the kind of day that I need it, or tampons. I would say though, I actually really like just using them all in conjunction with each other. So I might find that one period I want to use my moon cup or my organic cup. Next month I want to use my tampons. Next month I want to use these together or this on its own. I mean,
it's about having the choice.
It's all about the choice. What about you?
I love the pants. I love them so much because when I put them on, I didn't believe that they would actually work, because I was like, they're going to be horrible and it's going to be like just sitting in a horrible pad all day, and it wasn't, and I love them.
It's so counterintuitive to just free bleed essentially, but they're safe.
It's great and it's so comfortable, and there's nothing like, I just like that you put them on and then you forget about it. Like then you come to the end of the day and you're like, oh yeah, my period is happening.
Exactly.
It's great.
Fantastic.
What is the lasting thing that you'd like to leave everybody with?
I would say that no size fits all. We're all different. No one knows your period better than you do. So it's definitely worth giving some of these things a try, but also chat to your friends about it. Like, you'd be amazed how many kind of communal experiences you have that you don't realise are normal, and your friends experiencing it too. And actually a lot of your friends will tell you that they're using this, and a lot of your friends will tell you that you're using that, and you had no idea, and they've all got tips, suggestions, stories, which are really great, powerful things to share, which can make it much easier when you want to use them.
Amazing. So chat to your pals, give everyone permission to speak about
Period
it.
confidence.
If you have any questions or if you have opinions about what we've talked about, let us know in the comments. We will be around to answer your questions. We're doing some research into sustainable periods and we're recruiting 10 people to be involved. It's a project for everyone who has a period. We're going to be testing out new products and seeing what works. So if you'd like to express your interest in being involved, I'll put a link in the description and we'll keep you up to date with everything. If you have any questions about periods and the environment, please ask us. We could talk about this all day and there's loads of stuff that we've left out. So we'd love to answer your questions. As ever, subscribe to the Hubbub channel to be the first to see all of our videos, and I will see you soon. And that's the end of the episode. To find out more and to get inspired, head to our website, www.hubbub.org.uk, where you'll find loads of top tips to give you the spark to do things differently. Tune in for the next episode and come and join the Hubbub.